Good evening, everybody. I thank USI ISU for giving this opportunity. Dr. Swapan Subad and Dr. Raju, particularly. I am sharing my screen. I am talking on all about the pneumoperitoneum. As it is basics, let us focus on the basics only. A job well begun is half done. In fact, it is full done. Creating pneumoperitoneum, most important in any laparoscopic surgery. To be honest, we talk every time about the various gases. We use only carbon dioxide most commonly. So let us stick on to carbon dioxide only instead of going into the theory. Carbon dioxide is definitely advantage of all the gases because it's physiologically compatible, less toxicity, ease of use, safety, delivery method, cost, non-combustible. All features fit into the carbon dioxide. This is again a theory slide where you see there are various advantages of helium, but we don't use it. Now coming to the safety of the other gases not established, so CO2 remains the main one. Coming to the entry technique, as you all know, varus needle trocar, open Hazen's cannula technique and optical trocar are the methods how you establish the pneumoperitoneum. The most important every time we talk about is the right side part of this slide where inferior epigastric artery. A simple trick is you put a finger between the anterior iliac spine and the pubic symphysis center. From there, you go towards the umbilicus. That line should not have any part of your laparoscopic port or varus needle. That is all. The superficial vessels will not bleed that much. Inferior epigastric artery and vein. Anterior superior iliac spine to pubic symphysis, center point you finger, you draw a line, imaginary line up to the umbilicus, don't do anything in that region. For entry site, umbilicus is a standard, whereas right hypochondrium, left hypochondrium, Palmer's points are also very useful. I prefer left hypochondrium unless it's a tilted patient where you have to do the left-sided surgery. Now this is the way you hold. These are the basics. The most important thing is this needle is not sharp, it's blunt. You have to apply pressure to make the sharp part to come out. That means the right hand which is going in puts pressure to tear the tissue. So you should know which tissue is getting teared with how much pressure with your hand. That is a basic technique. Once you go inside, this varus needle immediately retracts the sharp part, so that direct injury is avoided. That means you are using the blunt instrument, making it sharp by pressure. Now coming to the angle of varus insertion, different persons will have different BMI will have different type. Now here non-obese, always basic principle is towards the bladder. And overweight patients, you should make an angle little more obtuse. And in obese, it should be vertical because the length of the skin to the rectus sheath and peritoneum will be long. Now coming to the most important thing is where you insert the varus needle, aortic bifurcation should be kept in mind. So if the BMI is less than 225, 0.4 centimeter caudal to aortic bifurcation. This is again theory. You should have clear idea where L4 level will be there in pendulous abdomen, where in a normal, well-built, like six-pack of abdomen, where it will be there. In pendulous abdomen, if you go horizontally or less angle, you may land up in the pre-peritoneal plane or in the fat. Whereas in very thin patients, if you go vertically, you will directly hit the vessel. These are the two important points. Now I am showing 3 videos here. This is a small kid where I prefer to go vertically down, not obliquely, not this thing, but only problem in children is it is elastic and very, very tough structure. So inserting varus needle is not easy. So always prefer to cut a little bit of the rectus sheath and then insert is also not bad idea. Why? Because you may reach the posterior structures immediately in children. So this is the one thing. This is the second thing where left side Palmer's point. I prefer this very much. Feel the abdomen before you do this for splenomegaly. 2 finger bits below you do it. Always you do a little bit of jerky movement so that you will hear 1 or 2 clicks depending on the position. Always you need not listen 2 clicks. Sometimes you click only one, but lack of resistance when you are going in is more important than number of clicks, 3, 4, 5. You can click if you go posteriorly also. Once you attach, most important is initially it may show 12, 15 pressure. But once the respiration pattern you come into the picture, it should come within 5 seconds, less than 7, less than 8, and flow should be starting. Then uniform distension. First thing you have to see is hypochondrium. Tap it, immediately gas will go there unless the patient is in extreme Trendelenburg position. You will not do the position unless the pneumoperitoneum is done. So hypochondrium on either side is the first thing you have to tap. This is another where the left side important where I am showing is these 4 tests. What first aspirate with syringe. Second is you put 5 ml. This is aspiration. Then you push the saline. Then drop test, and after that you put the CO2, by which you are sure that you are not aspirating blood, you are not aspirating bile or anything else. Now coming to the attempts, if you are attempting 1 or 2 times, if it is not coming, go for open method. Open method is most standard. Majority of the seniors in the world suggest open method, but it also has complication because once you enter the peritoneum, you can touch any structure. Another most important thing is if you have any scar, particularly women who underwent tubectomy or hysterectomy, when you are doing surgery, even if it is nephrectomy, don't go nearer to the scar. At least 2 to 3 centimeters away, you go for trocar as well as the Veress needle. Even Veress needle just above the scar is dangerous because you can go into the bowel. Now we coming to the readings, lot of question answers, MCQs are there. Most important point I want to tell, this slide is very important. There is a quadrimanometry method where you see pressure you have set, you see the pressure you are seeing, and you see the flow and the ultimately actual flow. So these 4 parameters are important. For example, normally to create pneumoperitoneum, you take on an average of 18 liters. Normally you set 12 mm of Hg. Veress needle can flow 1 liter per minute. On an average, 1 hour surgery will take around 90 ml of CO2. 2 kg cylinder will produce 40 liters. That means you can do 1 hour surgery average. When you want to be a freelancer, you can take the 2 kg cylinder. Never put the cylinder upside down. It may leak unnecessarily, gas may this thing. In the cylinder, it is a liquid form. Once it comes out, it is the gas form. Once the gas comes, temperature is low, immediate fogging will be there. To avoid the fogging, you have to do only 3 things. 1 is go slowly into the abdomen. 2 is apply betadine or any other surfactant effect which can produce, or hot water to equalize. So otherwise, 4th point is you change the inflow part to another port. This is all most important. So I repeat, pressure is in children 8 to 10, in adults 12 to 15, rarely use 21. Majority of the missions, Veress needle, you cannot have flow more than 1 ml per minute. After the trocar is inserted, you can have 6 to 8 ml per minute. So 1 hour surgery will take approximately 90 liters. So 18 liters is average taken for the pneumoperitoneum. So these points are important when you are seeing the insufflator. Now coming to the trocar, optical trocar, as Surya Prakash has already told, it has an eye at the tip. The moment you enter the peritoneum, it will show. So optical trocars are costly, so nobody uses except in some corporate hospitals. In private practice, it is very difficult. Open Hazen's method, everybody should know this. It is mandatory that you give an incision, take the stay stitches, lift it, identify the preperitoneum, open the peritoneum. If you have doubt, insufflate the gas. It will distend then also. Then you put the blunt end of the Hazen's cannula. After that, it is same. The flow will be same. Uniform distension should be ensured. Don't think that Hazen's cannula does not cause any problem. Through and through people, bowel Hazen's cannula is kept and closed, and they will be detected very late. This is very, very important. So gas delivery systems, nothing great: cylinder, insufflator, tubing, filter, port. See, rate of flow, if you buy high rate of flow mission, there is no advantage. On an average, the rate of flow you use is 10 ml per 10 liters per minute. If you wanted to do suction in a case of bleeding, where like IVC, you are quickly you want to suck and take bite, that time flow should be very good. Then you should take 45 liters per minute or 50 liters per minute. So if you are by high flow, the advantage only during bleeding, where maximum amount of CO2 comes. Most of my talk is over. Now there are troubleshooting measures like this. Last 2 minutes I am taking. If you have more than 20 pressure without flow, it is occlusion. Occlusion can be in the tube also. If somebody kinks the tube, it will be occluded. Next, 12 pressure and 12 pressure, but flow is very low. Already 500 ml has gone pre-peritoneum. Imagine in pre-peritoneum, never more than 1 liter you can accommodate. Total volume you see, if it is not more than 500 ml and pressure is already reached, that means you are pre-peritoneum. Instead of IVC, instead of bile, instead of liver, you think of pre-peritoneum, because most of the times you will end up in pre-peritoneum. Now coming to the unilateral localized distension, 12, 1 liter per minute and 1 liter has gone, bowel. Don't think that bowel, all the air will go into the upper small bowel, then colon, then it won't. It will be only segment of bowel will be there. Immediately the pressure will rise. So with a small amount of the flow, pressure will rise. It will not distribute entire bowel. Now coming to the 12.5, actual pressure is very low, but flow is going on, 5 liters has gone, that means IVC. It can rarely happen. If you aspirate, it's okay. One more important point is, whenever varus needle is inside, if you are not in position, don't push in. Never push in the varus needle, only withdraw. Withdrawing, if you get negative pressure, fine, or else take it out and re-put it. If you by chance put more in, all the principles of varus needle insertion are gone. Now, I don't want to discuss about on CO2 peritoneum. I've already told some of the complications I wanted to say. See, this is gas in the omentum. Large amount of the gas can accommodate. Unlike bowel, here enormous amount of the gas can go up to 15-20 liters without raise in pressure. Simple thing is that you open, CO2 will be absorbed. That is the beauty of CO2. Just open with the scissor or the this thing. See here, varus needle has gone and hit the small kidney as well as the pelvis. What happens? If you see this, okay, but after a certain time, you are seeing some amount of the urine, some amount of the blood. That means you have gone deeper. It happens in children with very small abdominal wall. See why this urine should come in PUJ and why blood should come from this. That means needle has gone through the kidney and into the pelvis. Both are leaking and entire plane is disturbed till you reach the pelvis. See, this is all contaminated. Now, this is the liver injury where varus needle has gone and you are shaking like this. This is also small kid, children, because I am doing more in children. This causes significant, but if nothing will happen, you can proceed with surgery. Or you can keep the Surgicel also. See, this is varus needle where you have gone to the spleen, and if you press, more blood will come. Don't do anything. Don't raise the pressure. Keep it. Wait for 5 minutes. After that, proceed with the surgery. So with that, I conclude that master your preferred entry technique. Never skip the safety test. Be vigilant on manometer readings. Thank you very much. A good beginning makes a good end always. Thank you once again for giving this opportunity.